Oda is a freaking legend, man! He gave us some of the greatest moments in the series in this latest arc. Needless to say that some of these moments came over 1,000 chapters in the series. One of my personal favorite moments has to be the test of courage between Luffy, Law, and Kid, where they decided to sit there and see which one of them would dodge Big Mom's attacks first, and none of them wanted to move. So we got the whole scrunched up face look. Man, that scene was just honestly ridiculous. And now that One Piece is entering its final saga, I got to thinking, what else does Oda have up his sleeve? How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm A-Mess, and today I'm going to be making some predictions for the final saga of One Piece. Now, there are a lot of videos out there where people are going on about what the next arc is, which island are the Straw Hats going to next, and who is the next big villain they are going to face. Well, I'm here to tell you that I don't care about any of that. No matter what I predict, Oda will find a way to either blow away my expectations or disappoint me, which, let's be honest, is very unlikely. So instead, this video is going to focus on predicting some hilarious moments that I would really love to see. The reason I decided to make this video is because the moment we learned about Yamato's connection to Ace and her goal to become Kizuki Oden, everyone and their mother predicted Yamato joining the Straw Hats. And of course, knowing Oda, he was going to put a scene where Yamato got into the bath with the guys. Personally, I thought that scene would happen on the Thousand Sunny, where the guys got into the bath and were just chilling and relaxing after this massive battle they just finished fighting. And as they're talking, we hear Yamato's voice, and we pan to the side, and Yamato is just chilling there. Then Usopp freaks out because Yamato came out of nowhere. Then Brook and Sanji get excited to have a woman in the bath with them. Then Luffy is like, yeah, Yamato wanted to join us, so I invited her in. Which, by the way, just to clarify, Yamato's Vivida card never specified Yamato identifying as a male, like how Kiku's Vivida card specified he identified as a she. So that's why I refer to Yamato as she, just so we're clear on that. Anyways, I thought this scene was going to happen after the Straw Hats left Wano, not while they were still in Wano. So seeing as how I wanted this funny moment to happen, and it did, just not in the venue I thought it would, I wanted to make a video on other funny things that I would love to see, and see how well I know Oda's writing style. Okay, so first thing on my list is Buggy's reaction to him being named a Yonko. So obviously, once Buggy hears the news, he is going to freak out. He's like, whoa, why am I a Yonko? What? How? Huh? While the rest of his crew is like, yeah, we're a part of the Yonko crew. We are the 4 emperors. Let's go, Buggy. Bombastic Buggy. Buggy the king. Future king of the pirates. Buggy's gonna be sweating bricks like, why is this happening to me? So, okay, let's just put this all together. Let's see how this happened. So last we heard, they were being attacked by the Marines after the warlord system was abolished. Buggy gave this inspirational speech to the rest of his crew, showing them like how they cannot mess with Captain Buggy. Buggy, the magnificent gesture, and then just get away with it. His crew gets all riled up. All of his commanders are his inner circle. They're all excited. They're all energized. The rest of his crew is cheering, celebrating, getting ready for battle. Then Buggy's like, and while they distract the Marines, I'm gonna escape out the back door. So I originally thought that his crew fights while he escapes with Alvida, Mr. 3, Moji, Richie, and Kadaji? I think that's how it's pronounced, and a select few who protect them while they flee. The rest of his crew get captured, and he ends up running into Shanks after he escapes. Shanks then helps him save his crew, and then he tells Buggy that his offer still stands. He asks Buggy if he would like to join his crew. Buggy would obviously decline the offer because he still hates Shanks, but because he's now a wanted pirate, and a big one at that, he says he wouldn't mind forming an alliance. That was my initial assumption until I saw this, until he was named one of the 4 emperors. So my thought process is, A, Shanks probably showed up, helped him fight off the Navy, defeated Vice Admiral, Scorpion, I think? He was the one who was going after him, then left, and everyone who remained only saw Buggy fighting. They did not see Shanks finish off Vice Admiral Scorpion and leave. They just saw Buggy face up against Vice Admiral Scorpion, and then Vice Admiral Scorpion was knocked out. And then he escaped with his entire crew, and Buggy having this whole reputation of him being Shanks' friend. They were both aboard the Pirate King's crew. They probably assume he found the One Piece along with Roger, and then him breaking out of Impel Down with a bunch of notorious pirates, being a very successful warlord with his mercenary system, and then he just escaped the clutches of Vice Admiral Scorpion, with his crew being completely unharmed. So massive crew plus territory plus reputation, and him escaping with his crew completely unharmed, led them to decide yeah, he's the most vicious pirate out right now outside of the top 3. The top 3 being Shanks, Blackbeard, and Luffy, seeing as how Luffy just defeated Kaido. And the reason Kid and Law were not included in that discussion it's probably because they assume they swore allegiance to Luffy. And that's why all three of them have a 3 billion berry bounty, but only Luffy is considered an emperor because they probably assume Law and Kid are part of his crew, or at the very least a part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. That is assumption 1. Assumption 2 I find a little bit more funny. So Buggy ran away. His crew were fighting. While he was running away, what are the chances he met another pirate? And this pirate was like, Buggy, this is your bombastic Buggy. You're part of Gold Roger's crew. You were shipmates with Shanks. Let me try using you to bring up my reputation. So this pirate helps Buggy fight off the Marines because this pirate has a decent sized crew. Probably not as big as Buggy's, but his crew is probably just as strong as his in terms of like quantity over quality, or quality over quantity, sorry. And this pirate just so happened to be Crocodile. So Crocodile and Mr. One show up with the new and improved Baroque works, team up with Buggy, and beat back the Marines. And then when Navy hears Crocodile, who had been expanding his influence in the New World and probably gained some type of reputation from it, joined up with the Buggy pirates. That was enough for them to be like, hey, Buggy's crew has so many notorious pirates working under him. His main crew is probably equivalent to Shanks. Not in actuality, just in the Marines' head and probably the journalists as well. So both the Navy and the journalists overhype Buggy to the point where like, we have to consider him an emperor now. He has so much territory, so much influence, such a massive and powerful crew. There's no other crew outside of the Yonko that has this much power and this many numbers. Now the reason why this is funny, Crocodile does not associate with Buggy. He's just trying to use him to take over his crew. Similarly to what he did with Alabasta. He's gonna wait for Buggy to become so big, then just take it all from him and expand his influence throughout the New World and hopefully establish a decent territory, maybe even his own kingdom. Then Buggy was named an emperor. And Crocodile's like, shit, what have I done? I can't just kill him now. The whole world has their eyes on him. Probably a lot of pirate crews are probably gonna see him and be like, we would like to join you. Please spare our life. We will submit to you. So Crocodile's now in a predicament. He could try to take over Buggy's crew, but if he does, Buggy has the reputation of an emperor now. His crew is not going to sit lightly if he tries to overthrow him. Even if he takes his time to win him over to his side, Buggy is just so notorious now, people are probably going to be afraid to go against him, despite Buggy being the weakest pirate in the world right now. So now Crocodile has to willingly submit to Buggy and try to establish his own territory at the same time. That's what's going on in my head right now. That's how Buggy became an emperor. Buggy is an emperor now. Just saying that is making me crack a smile. Honestly, I can picture this entire scenario in my head and... I just thought of what Sakazuki would do once he heard this. I could just picture a Marine soldier bringing the news to him and he'd be like, so how's the capture of the former warlords been coming along? The soldier would respond with, we have successfully captured 3 of them. Sakazuki will get confused for a second. He's like, excuse me? 3? You mean you've captured all 4 of them, right? The Marine soldier would just start sweating and he'd be like, no, sir. Bombastic Buggy has escaped our capture. That's when Sakazuki just flips. I was like, what do you mean he escaped capture? He had the biggest crew, so I sent the most forces out after him. How could he possibly escape? And the Marine soldier just hands him the report. And he's like, there was someone else there. And Sakazuki just reads it and he's like, the former warlord, Crocodile, who's been building up a new organization in the New World, intervened and helped Buggy escape capture? They successfully defeated Vice Admiral Scorpion? They managed to escape without a single one of their crew members being caught? We lost our entire forces? Oh my god. And that's when like Sakazuki, he's sort of like putting the pieces together. Not actually, because none of this, what I'm about to say actually happened. It's just what Sakazuki is assuming. So the first thing to pop into Sakazuki's head would be, Buggy foresaw this outcome. And he starts like making up this entire scenario in his head where he's like, Buggy and Crocodile, they broke out of Impel Down together. That must have been when Buggy recruited Crocodile. Crocodile has been a part of his crew this entire time. He just had Crocodile go build an entire organization, so it looks like he's not with him. But in actuality, Buggy has been keeping him as a trump card in case we ever betrayed him and tried to capture him. Then the moment the warlord system was abolished and we went after him, he called Crocodile back to help him. We completely underestimated Buggy's thought process. He foresaw this coming. From the moment he escaped Impel Down, he knew we were going to recruit him as a warlord. He knew it would eventually be abolished. This whole time he just had Crocodile lying in wait and just waiting for the moment the warlord system was abolished. So that way the moment we come after him, Crocodile could just sneak attack us, and they could just double team our forces and just completely escape unharmed. He is beyond our expectation. We have no choice now. We have to consider Buggy one of the 4 emperors, and that's why he was named an emperor, just because freaking Sasasuke made up this entire fictional scenario where Buggy and Crocodile have been playing them this whole time, and Buggy predicted the warlord system being abolished, and even him becoming a warlord was a part of his scheme. Oh my god, bro. If some shit like that happens, even if only 1% of what I said is true, like Sakazuki believes Buggy predicting the warlord system being abolished, and he had like a perfect plan set up for that just in case, that will be fucking hilarious. I really hope they do some shit like that. Oh no, please do some shit where it looks like Buggy had planned for the warlord system to be abolished, and it was all part of his grand scheme. Now, in terms of Buggy's bounty, this is gonna take some thought because Luffy, Law, and Kid all had 3 billion berries. And now, as I stated earlier, the world government and the journalists probably assume Law and Kid swore allegiance to Luffy, so they're part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Then there is the other Yonkos. Shanks has a bounty of 4,048,900,000, and Blackbeard, who has a 2,247,600,000 berry bounty. Then Luffy at 3 billion. So where does Buggy stack up in this? Would he be around Blackbeard's maybe 2 billion? But then I'm looking at Law and Kid, their bounty is 3 billion, and they took care of a Yonko alongside Luffy. And the 2 Yonkos they beat was Kaido, who was 4.6 billion, and Big Bomb, who was 4.38 billion. So I'm assuming Buggy's realistically will probably be around there, a little less than Luffy, because I don't think he will be as big as Big Mom or Kaido. If Luffy doesn't have a higher bounty than Kaido despite beating him, there's no way Buggy does, right? I'm willing to bet money that Buggy probably has the highest bounty in the series at 4.5 billion. Not the series, currently active. The highest current active bounty at 4.5 billion. Just slightly below Kaido. Unless Blackbeard did something, because we know last we saw during the Reverie arc, Blackbeard was making a move. We don't know towards what. I'm assuming it's to steal the Metameta no Mi from Sabo, who I'm assuming was captured by the Navy. If that's the case, then say he did succeed. And that was part of the chaos that's going around the world that Rokuyu mentioned at the final page. So let's say Blackbeard's bounty went up to 4 billion. And I still can't convince myself to Buggy having less than 4.5 billion. I would love to say Blackbeard went up to 4 billion, so Buggy is around 3 billion, 3.5 billion. I would love to say that, but no, I'm sticking with 4.5. I'm sticking 4.5 billion. Just because the world tends to overhype Buggy's everything. Skill, achievements, strategies, personality. They overhype everything about him, so there's no way they don't overhype his bounty. So I'm sticking with it. 4.5 billion, highest active bounty among pirates, because we don't know Dragon's bounty yet. Okay, so this is how I think the next chapter will start. So after the break, we see what happens with Buggy. Then we get the whole incident with Rokugyu. Straw Hats leave Wano. And while they're sailing away, it's the middle of the night. Everyone's asleep. Usopp wakes up in the middle of the night, and he hears cluck, 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 cluck. He wonders what that is, so he starts following the sound. And as he's following it, he's like scared and, you know, sweating. He's like a little bit of a tear coming out, a little bit of snot. Oh, he's just following the sound. He hears cluck, 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 cluck. He follows the sound and it leads him to the kitchen. So he starts thinking like, oh, it's probably just Luffy getting a snack. No need for me to check. Then he hears something fall and break. And he's like, hey, I should probably just check it just to make sure no one from Kaido's crew snuck in here. Yeah, it's just a member of Kaido's crew. Yeah, they're just a weakling. I could just scare him away. Yeah, definitely. He opens the door, and all he sees is a woman with long ears and a big creepy smile. He freaks out, starts screaming, crying, runs away. He's like, help! Evil spirit lady is in our kitchen! Sanji wakes up. He's like, lady? Runs to the kitchen, full speed. Goes into the kitchen, and he sees a horse lady and a little girl eating their food. And it's Speed and Tama. Everyone wakes up, they're like, Tama, what are you doing on our ship? Tama's like, I didn't want to stay in Wano anymore. She's like, I feel bad for Tenguyama for leaving him alone, but I just couldn't stay in that country anymore. I want to go out to sea and become a Bisojo, a beautiful young woman, and sail the seas with the rest of you guys. And so he's like, I came in on here to protect Tama. If my lady Tama wanted to go on this ship, we're going on this ship. And then Komachiyo and Hihimaru show up in the background like, woo, 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 woo. They're like, wow, okay, looks like so we have new members of the ship. And by that point, it's too late for them to turn back because Rokugyu is chasing after them. So Tama officially becomes a member of the crew. So yeah, I do think, like, if that does happen, Luffy would be like, whatever. We have more friends to take care of. Usopp's be like, absolutely not. I understand she has an amazing ability and she has speed here with her along with Komachiyo and Hihimaru. But let's be real, Tama can't defend herself. And then Sanji's like, as long as Peach-wan is here with us, I'm okay with it. Fuka's like, I don't mind either. And of course, like, Luffy's like, yeah, why not? More the merrier. And besides, I do owe her for giving me food. And she was Ace's friend. Ace did promise to take her out, so might as well. I don't care. And only Usopp and Nami are like, no, absolutely not, Luffy. Take her back. And Luffy's like, okay, I guess we'll just turn back and fight Rokugyu. And that's when the moment they change, like, okay, never mind, she can stay. She can stay. So yeah, I do think Tama will sneak onto the Straw Hat ship. I find it very unlikely she's gonna try to stay in Wano, especially if, like, the Straw Hats leave in a hurry. They're probably just gonna jump on the ship and leave, and Tama could take advantage of them leaving in a hurry just to get on the ship. And I think only Speed, Komachiyo, and Hihimaru would be with her. I don't think the other Smile users would be, because I'm pretty sure it's only been a week, so she has about 3 more weeks of them being, her servants. But I feel like she gives them the choice. Like, you guys could stay here and help protect Wano, but your servitude to me ends in 3 weeks. If you guys rather be free by that point, then go ahead. But Speed already swore she's gonna stay with me regardless. Personally, I don't think that's gonna be the case when it wears off. I think once it wears off, they're gonna be like, I have my free will again. I no longer care about you. But you know, it's Oda. He tends to be lenient with this thing. So once Speed swore, he's gonna make it that she keeps that promise. Even if she doesn't really care about Thomas, she's gonna say, I made a promise. I am an honorable person. I'm going to keep that promise. I swore allegiance to you. I'm sticking to it. Everybody else is gonna be like, we may not keep our promise afterwards. We're not promising anything. We're loyal to you for now, but we want you to be safe, and we do believe we're not going to be loyal once this wears off. So we're giving you a heads up. Don't have us around at the end of the month. It's probably best for you to lock us up, because we really care about you in this moment, but once that wears off, you're in danger. That's how I see it. Or maybe, heck, everyone could just get killed by Rokugyu. Maybe that's how the Straw Hats escape. They're like, oh, we're too weak from our battle with Kaido. We can't take them on right now. So they flee while all of the Smile users hold them back. They're like, we were bad people. We're probably going to be bad people once Tama's Devil Fruit wears off. So at least let us give us one last chance to do something good. Even if it means our death, we're dying as good people. We don't want to betray Tama. So maybe that does happen. Maybe they die. But it's Oda. Oda doesn't really kill off characters. Heck, even Queen and King are probably not going to get killed off. They're probably going to be debilitated, probably going to lose all their powers, but they're probably going to be alive. They may or may not show up later, but I'm pretty sure they survive in the end. So I'm sticking with my first theory. They just hold them back, they survive, but they regain their free will and are against Tama, and they knew they were going to do that, so they willingly sacrificed themselves so Tama can, so the Straw Hats could sneak away, could get away, and Tama takes advantage of that to sneak on the ship. Okay, next is the first island that Straw Hats will go to. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Elbaf. I feel like Oda set up this island so much, it has to be the first island to go to after Wano. And when they get there, they're gonna be reunited with Dory and Broggy, whom Oimo and Kashi brought back from Little Garden. After Usopp told Oimo and Kashi where Dory and Broggy were back in Enies Lobby, the first thing Oimo and Kashi did was go get them and bring him back to Elbaf. And maybe they started recreating the giant pirates, and they're currently just chilling in Elbaf for now because the crew isn't fully back together. Then the Straw Hats show up, Usopp is reunited with them, and Dory and Broggy are like, oh, Usopp, it's so good to see you again. It looks like you've amassed quite a reputation. We've seen your wanted poster. And Usopp's like, oh, thank you. I mean, I'm not a true warrior of the sea just yet, but I'm getting there. I can feel it. I am almost there. And then Hazrudin, the captain of the new giant pirates underneath the, who are part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, I should say, he walks in and he's like, oh, God, Usopp, it's so good to see you again. And then Dory, Broggy, Oimo, and Kashi are like, what? What do you mean, God, Usopp? He's Soge King. He's Soge King Usopp. We saw his wanted poster. And Hazrudin is like, oh, no, that's his old wanted poster. Here are the new ones they just released. And they see Usopp's wanted poster, and it says, God Usopp. And then Dory and Broggy are like, God Usopp? What has he done to earn the title of God? And that's when Hazrudin explains what happened in Dressrosa. And he's like, oh, Doflamingo and his crew turned everyone into toys. We were enslaved and forced to do their bidding. Then Usopp showed up and he saved everyone. He released us from our enslavement by sniping the one who had turned us into toys and knocking her out. After we all had awoken, we saw he was knocked unconscious. I forget how he was, like the building collapsed, but I forgot what happened afterwards. But anyways, Hazrudin continues like, I picked him up and told everyone, this man saved us all. He released us from our confinement. And as I held him up, the skies parted and a light shone down on him. And he told us, follow me. I will lead you all to victory. In that moment, we knew he was a divine being. He was God Usopp. And Dory and Broggy are just impressed. They're like, this is unbelievable. To think another person would be named a deity. We shall now crown Usopp as the sniper deity of Elbaf. Usopp hears this and he's like, excuse me? What do you mean sniper deity? I mean, I know I'm an amazing sniper, but I'm not an actual god. They just ignore him. Everyone in Elbaf hears is like, we have anointed a new deity? Elbaf has a new god amongst them? We have a sniper deity now? They all show up and they start prostrating in front of Usopp like, we are not worthy. We are not worthy. And Usopp was like, what? And then we see everyone else's reaction and they have the Eneru face. They're like, ah! With their eyes bulging out, their tongue twisted up. And it's just like, what? And it's the entire Straw Hat crew, maybe the Kid and Law crew, they're there as well. Like one giant page of panels of everyone just going, what? And then after that giant hilarious situation, we get a little more information because Hajuddin would have the new bounties. He has the new wanted posters. And Dory and Broggy, they see Luffy's wanted poster. And being as old as they are, they've lived for hundreds of years. They probably recognize it. And they're like, wait a second, this looks like Sun God Nika. Because we do know Elbaf has a sun god, we just don't know what it is. So let's say, they're like, Usopp is now among our great gods, along with the warrior god Elbaf and the god of liberation, the sun god Nika. And that's the point when they see his wanted poster and they're like, Luffy, this photo of you kind of looks like the sun god. And Luffy's like, what's that? And that's when we start getting a little more about the Nika fruit. They probably take him to the capital. Probably they have like an ancient library or maybe a bunch of poneglyphs that sort of explains it. And they show him like, well, Sun God Nika was a god of liberation. He earned the title of Joy Boy. Or maybe they could say Joy Boy was the first person to wield his devil fruit. And once they go into the capital, that's when Robin finds a bunch of poneglyphs. And they're like, can I read those? Can I go see them? And they're like, normally normal people are not allowed to see these. Only like the king or gods of Elbaf are. But since you're a part of God Usopp's crew, you're more than welcome to. And Robin's like, yes, I am a part of Usopp's crew. For sure. And then just goes in and just starts researching everything. And she discovers a little more about the Void Century, because I'm assuming since giants live up to like 300 years, it's probably only a few generations old. So they probably do have the information that occurred during the Void Century. And since the world government does not have influence over Elbaf, they never got rid of it. Maybe the giants couldn't read the poneglyphs, so they have no idea what these things are. They just know they're historical texts of Elbaf. So we start learning a little more about Elbaf's history and what happened to them during the Void Century. It's not everything involved in the Void Century, but it's some details about what happened in Elbaf during that time. Then we probably learn a little more about like what happened with the Ancient Kingdom, the Will of D, stuff like that. So and then we also learn a little bit more about the Sun God Nika. Maybe within the capital of Elbaf, which we don't know what it is, there's a couple of statues. Maybe the warrior god Elbaf has a statue, and maybe the Sun God Nika. And it looks eerily similar to Luffy. Like if Luffy entered Gear 5th and stood next to it, they would look almost identical. Maybe a couple things are off, like maybe the statue doesn't have a scar, maybe it's a little bit taller. Well, it's a statue. It's probably going to be big, so let's ignore the height. But it's eerily similar. And they're like, Luffy, that's your Gear 5th form. So Luffy's like, so my devil fruit was not the Gumbo Gumbo no Mi, but it was the mythical human fruit model Sun God Nika. And as they're staring at these statues, everyone's like, all right, make room. We're going to put it right here. And they're starting like, what are you guys going to put there? A statue of our new god, Usopp, the sniper deity. And then out of nowhere, they bring a giant statue of Usopp that's bigger than both Elbaf and the Nika one. And Usopp is like, I don't know if I like this. How everyone knows what I look like. Either that or he's gonna be like, oh my god, this is amazing. I have a giant statue of me in Elbaf. I am now a mighty warrior of the sea. Maybe that's when he decides, like, yes, I finally consider myself a brave warrior of the sea. I have a giant statue of me in Elbaf, the city, or the island of mighty warriors. And that's gonna be like the highlight of that chapter. Just Usopp just getting a giant statue, and then Luffy gets it. He's like, I want a giant statue too. Usopp, fight me for the right for a statue. And Luffy's like, no, you have one. It's right there. It's like, that's not me. That's this guy Nika. I'm gonna fight you and get a statue in Elbaf. And Zoro's like, count me in too. I'm getting in on this action. Yamato jumps in. It's like, oh, we're all fighting God. Let's do it. This sounds like fun. Usopp just runs away, like, books it. And then freaking Luffy, Zoro, Yamato start chasing him down. Jinbei's the only rational one who was like, I'm gonna go stop them. I'll be back. And then the giants could be talking to Nami, being like, hey, you look very close to Usopp. Like, you guys are close. And she'd be like, well, no, I mean, we are good friends and all, but we're not close or anything. Because they would assume that because, you know, they're technically part of the cowardly trio along with Chopper. So Nami and Usopp tend to be like in their own little clique or like their own little group within the Straw Hats. Like, you know, there's the monster trio with like Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. Then usually Robin is off by herself studying or reading a book. Well, Sanji typically caters to both of them, but still, in terms of like grouping, Nami and Usopp tend to be grouped together. So I'm assuming like the Giants end up noticing this, like how they're off with each other, and they probably assume they're together. Nami will be like, no, me and him are not together. But then the Giants will like, they won't really be listening. They'll be like, if you guys are together, we have to offer you a tribute, seeing as how you're with deity of Elbaf. And then Nami instantly pulls a 180. He's like, yes, I'm with Usopp. Me and him are dating. We're seeing each other. We're in a relationship. As a matter of fact, we're even married. And then because of that, like, you're married to a deity here. We have to give you tributes. Here's a bunch of giant gold. And then Nami's just like, oh. She gets just super excited and just gets lavished with gold by the Giants. Meanwhile, Robin is continuing her research into the poneglyphs and the ancient history of the Giants, trying to see if she can find more about the Void Century and Joy Boy. If Law and Kid are there, they're probably going to try to fight Luffy, or at least Kid will try to fight Luffy again. To no avail as usual. Law might actually join Robin in researching the poneglyphs, just because he wants to know more about the Will of D. Luffy gives zero fucks about the Will of D, but it's important to Law, because it has to do with Corazon. The reason Corazon sacrificed himself for him was because A, he's a good person, he wanted Law to live, but it also is significant because of the Will of D. If it wasn't for Corazon, Law would not have known about that. So now that Corazon is dead, he imparted this wisdom to him, and now he wants to solve the great mystery. So that's pretty much how the Elbaf arc will go. Usopp becomes a sniper deity, Luffy, Zoro get jealous, Yamato wants to fight him because she thinks he's strong, Nami gets a bunch of tribute from the Giants because she claims she's close with Usopp, Robin just focuses on research. I don't know what Chopper, Brook, or Frankie would do. Maybe they just go shopping throughout the country. Sanji, however, Sanji's a little interesting. I can see Sanji doing one or two things. First, he'd probably just go to a restaurant, probably study underneath some giant chefs. Because, like, I'm picturing giants have unique ingredients, maybe different animals that they hunt, maybe different fruit that they grow. And Sanji just goes to a couple of restaurants, learning their techniques and about their different ingredients. Probably discovers a new type of fish that he's never even heard of. Or B, which I think is more likely, personally, he's probably just going to be flirting with a bunch of giant women. And the giant women are like, oh my god, you're so tiny, how cute. He's like, yes, thank you, I am handsome, I am beautiful, you're very cute too. Something like that, along those lines. It's about to be one or the other. Knowing Oda is probably going to be the flirting with the giant women. Just saying. Okay, so next up on my list is, okay. So for these next few ones, it requires a little insight into my own personal headcanon. So I did have this theory about how Wano was going to end and what the next arc was going to be. I did make a video on it, I'm just not sure if I have it on YouTube. I know I have one on TikTok, I just don't know if I put another one onto YouTube. If you want, I have a link in the description to my TikTok. You can go and just watch the video there, if you want the full detail, that is. But for now, I'm just gonna quickly sum up that theory. So the theory goes is that the warlords were captured because the Navy wanted to show off their strength and show that they didn't need the warlords. So all of the warlords get captured except for Buggy, since he's apparently an emperor now, and they're taken to Marine HQ because they're either going to be executed or taken to Impel Down. And while the warlords are there, there's another prisoner who shows up at the same time, and that prisoner is Sabo. Now the reason Sabo is there is because the Marines want to extract his devil fruit, and Vegapunk recently learned how to do it. So the Navy captured him, brought him there, and then leaked false information to Big News Morgan about them killing him. Then they sent someone over there to try to make it look like they don't want this information leaked. They want to keep it a secret. But in actuality, they were just trying to trick Morgan into thinking this information was legit and something the Marines didn't want the people to know. So he published that Sabo was dead. And when Blackbeard read this, he sort of put two and two together, and being the Machiavellian schemer that he is, he figured out that the Marines were lying about killing Sabo, and Vegapunk had figured out how to extract a person's devil fruit. So the thing he didn't want the other people to have, which was like his vague response about invading somewhere, was he didn't want the Marines to have the Meta no Mi, so he was going to attack them and try to steal it. And how Luffy ends up figuring this out is either from the CP0 agents. They probably had like a letter or a phone call that informed them of this after the battle was over. And once Luffy found out that Sabo was there and he's gonna have his devil fruit taken from him and probably be killed, he rushes over there to help him. So now, this current prediction I'm making is that while the warlords are there, Boa Hancock ends up meeting Sabo. Similarly to how like Ace and Jinbei were talking in Impel Down, Hancock and Sabo are gonna start a conversation. Maybe Hancock and Sabo heard that Luffy just became an emperor, and they both get excited. And then Hancock starts asking Sabo, like, why are you getting excited? What connection do you have to Luffy? And that's when Sabo informs her that he's Luffy's older brother. And Hancock does not believe him. She thinks he's bullshitting. She'll be like, oh, shut up. You're not Luffy's brother. Luffy's brother died. How dare you? And then she could be like, how dare you try to impersonate the brother of the man I love? And that's kind of like how Sabo was like, excuse me? You love him, huh? How did Luffy manage to get you? You're like considered the most beautiful woman in the world. How in the hell does that idiot seduce you? He literally gives no fucks about women. All he cares about is meat and fighting. And of course, maybe Hancock knows he's the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, but she still doesn't believe he's Luffy's brother. And then maybe she learns he has the Meta no Mi. Then she gets even more mad and is all like, you not only impersonate his brother, but you sully the memory of Ace by eating his devil fruit? And like Hancock may be super mad, like even start trying to kick him despite being handcuffed. Like she might try to rush him like, you little piece of shit. Anyways, like from that point on, they end up like they get to know each other a little bit, but she doesn't believe he's Luffy's brother. And then let's say the Revolutionary Army, they figured out what's happening with Sabo. And I just say break in because that makes it into a head-on assault. But instead, they stealthily sneak in like freaking ninjas or something. They just sneak in through the walls. Like maybe Dragon, like there's a theory he may have been a former admiral. So maybe he's familiar with Marine HQ. But wait, that's the old one. This is the new one. It's a different layout, so maybe not. But maybe they sneak in. They spend like hours searching. Maybe a fight breaks out here and there. But they eventually find Sabo. And since like Sabo and Hancock got to know each other, maybe Sabo's like, hey, she knows Luffy. Let's have her help us out. Like I could trust her. Maybe we can recruit some of these warlords. I mean, they used to work for the government, sure, but that was before the government betrayed them. So maybe they might be willing to join the Revolutionary Army. And Hancock is... well, not just Hancock, all of the warlords, which would be Hancock, Mihawk, Weevil. Buggy was captured. Who else is a warlord? Doflamingo is gone. Gecko Moria was killed, but then captured by Blackbeard. We don't know if he's killed again, but who else? Oh, Kuma, but he's a robot now, so that doesn't matter. Yeah, no, it's just those three. Those are the three. So it'll be Weevil, Mihawk, and Hancock. Yeah, they're the rest of the warlords. They're the last ones who were remaining and probably would have been captured because Buggy managed to escape and become an emperor. I'm still not over that. But anyway, so they refuse. That is until, like, Hancock meets a couple of fishmen. Because we know there are fishmen who are part of the Revolutionary. And she looked up to Fisher Tiger. Maybe she sees the members of the Sun Pirates and is like, she'll probably be like, you know what? I'll follow you guys, but I'm not joining. I'll help you guys get out of here safely, but I'm not going to be a member of the Revolutionary. And maybe like same thing with Mihawk and Weevil. Maybe they're just like, we're just going to escape. You guys want to come with us? You can, but we're getting out of here. And here comes the best part. One of the reasons Hancock was a little more willing because of Dragon. Everyone knows Dragon is Luffy's father. So I'm just imagining their first confrontation. Like she's out of the handcuffs. Then like Dragon walks in and he's like, guys, we need to get out of here. And then Hancock sees him like, hey, I know you. You're Dragon. And then Dragon's like, yes, what does the former warlord and the pirate empress want with me? She walks up to him, like, it looks super edgy. It's, like, menacing. Like, it looks like they're about to face off. Some of the, like, freaking Revolutionary Army members get a little nervous. They start sweating. They're like, she's not gonna suddenly start fighting him, is she? And as she's walking up to him, Dragon gets a little nervous and he starts thinking, okay, according to our intel, her ability is to petrify anyone who has impure thoughts of her. So I need to keep a calm mind and not let anything she says or does to faze me. Then Hancock just grabs his hand and says, it's so good to meet you, father. And he just loses all composure and freaks out along with the rest of the Revolutionary Army. They all forget they are in the middle of Marine HQ and start screaming, what? Dragon had another kid? And Dragon's like, hell no! I only have Luffy, you guys know that? It's like, wait, why are you calling me father? Because, like, here's the thing. In Japanese, the word father-in-law and father are the same word. It's otosan. So it's like, it can be confusing. They're the same word. So she's just going to say father, otosan. And then he'll be like, why are you calling me that? And she'll respond with, oh, allow me to properly introduce myself. I am the Pirate Empress, Boa Hancock. I'm Luffy's wife. And then everyone just freaks out like, ah! Wait, what? Excuse me? Huh? And then Sabo's going to be like, wait, what? Wife? Huh? Wait, didn't you say you just loved him? When did you guys get married? Wait, what? And then if there are other members of the Kujo Pirates, especially the old lady, she's gonna be like, whoa, no, she's not actually married to him. She's just his self-proclaimed wife. This is all her fantasy. It's not actually true. Luffy, like, doesn't really care about her. He's not attracted to her whatsoever. And Hancock is like, what do you mean? He's seen me naked and he had his arms all over my naked body. We're clearly married. And that's when everyone freaks out even more, like, excuse me? Luffy did what to you? And then the old lady's gonna explain, like, oh, she just snuck him into Impel Down. She snuck him under her dress. That's how he broke in there in the first place. And that's kind of like everyone finds out, like, okay, so you helped him break into Impel Down. He had his hands on your naked body. How did he not turn to stone? And the old lady again explains, like, yeah, I just said he's not aroused by her. He can see her naked, touch her naked body, he won't feel a thing. She tried to turn him stone when they first met. It didn't work. And that's pretty much like how the whole Hancock, Sable, dragon thing goes. Okay, after that interaction, let's just say some time has passed and they end up splitting up. So let's just say it was a result of a fight, or they just simply split up to cover more ground. After Hancock wanders around for a while, she ends up running into Yamato. The way this happens is that when Luffy heard that Sabo was captured and is being held in Marine HQ, he gathers his crew, maybe calls some of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, and tells them all to head towards Marine headquarters in order to not only save Sabo, but maybe even the warlords. Because Luffy knows Hancock's secret and he's worried the world government might find out and return them to the Celestial Dragons. So Luffy, in order to protect his brother and his friend, he calls his entire crew and the crews allied under him and head straight for Marineford. And then when they get there, in typical Straw Hat fashion, they split up. Yamato ends up going on her own and having a couple of fights, and then ends up running into Hancock. So when Yamato first meets Hancock, she's instantly smitten by her. She becomes super bashful and like, oh, hi there, hi, my name is, Kizuki Odin. You could just call me Yamato, what's your name? And that's when Hancock introduces herself. She's like, I am the Pirate Empress, Boa Hancock. And I'm pretty much going to be assuming Luffy will tell his crew about Hancock, like she helped them get into Impel Down to save Ace and how she's his friend. So when Yamato hears that she's Hancock, he's like, oh, you're the one Luffy told me about. And that's when Hancock's like, how do you know Luffy? That's when Yamato responds with like, oh, I'm a member of his crew now. And at first, like, Hancock is like, she's doubtful. She doesn't completely believe him, but she also doesn't think Yamato is lying. So she takes everything he says with a grain of salt. She'll be like, really? You're Luffy's new crew member? What a coincidence. And you just so happen to be in Marine HQ. Yamato could try to explain like, oh yeah, when Luffy heard his brother Sabo was being held here, he instantly rushed over to help him. Which sounds like a completely reasonable thing, like it makes sense. So maybe Hancock might not be hostile to Yamato right away. She may have her doubts, but she won't completely distrust him like she did with Sabo when he first told him that he was Luffy's brother. Then again, she may still have doubts about Sabo, so she could think maybe he's working with Sabo in order to deceive her. Maybe the Revolutionary Army is trying to hand her over to the government to secure their escape. Who knows? Maybe so she's like a little not trusting, but she's also like, she seems strong. Maybe she can help me escape. And Hancock could be like, well, if you know Luffy, you can lead me to him, can't you? And Yamato will be like, yeah, I have his Vivida card on me. I could show you the way. And so they pretty much try to find their way back to Luffy and try to reunite with the rest of the crew. While this is happening, Nami is like on her own with Zeus. She's just wandering around and she ends up getting the worst luck imaginable. And she runs into Akainu, the fleet admiral, who has the Magma Logia, probably one of the most deadliest devil fruits in the entire series. So Nami is like, Admiral Akainu! She instantly books it, like Akainu recognizes she's a part of Luffy's crew, who is now considered a Yonko. And I am assuming Akainu knows about Sun God Nika, and he's recognized Luffy's transformation. Then he could be like, oh, you're Cat Burglar Nami! I could either kill you here or use you to lure in Straw Hat. And he tries to capture her alive because he needs her as bait. And of course, like, Nami runs away instantly. So like, whoosh, gone. And he's like, oh, I expect nothing less from the coward. Their little crybaby Straw Hat. I remember him at Marineford. He was pathetic, just like his brother. And like, Nami stops right there. And she turns around all menacing. He's like, what did you say about my captain? You dare insult Luffy? Take that back this instant! Okay, you could just be like, oh, you have some moxie to you. And in that moment, a giant cloud appears over his head, and it's Zeus. Nami, like, the only reason Nami will try to fight him is because she understands weather, and she understands magma to a certain extent, and knows that the rain and the cold can harden magma and turn it to stone. So that could be like her strategy, create a giant blizzard or hurricane in an attempt to sort of solidify his magma. And it starts working. Zeus is like, behold my blizzard my hurricane technique. And at the same time, Nami's doing Blizzard Tempo, creating a freaking massive gust of wind, rain, snow, and ice, freezing Akainu solid. His magma turns into solid stone, and he is trapped there. And then Zeus and Nami would be like, yes, we did it. We petrified the fleet admiral. We avenged Luffy's loss and Ace's death. And then Akainu simply cracks out of it. It's like, huh, I underestimated you. You are a little stronger than I thought. And that's when Nami's like, yeah, I didn't think that would work. Then bam! She hops on Zeus, and Zeus just bolts it out of there. And in the end, Akainu attempts to chase her down, and that's when he eventually runs into Luffy. They have their epic battle, which was inevitable because Luffy needs to avenge Ace's death. It has to happen. Frankly, I don't know if it's going to be the situation with Kaido, because I feel like Kaido would have been stronger than Akainu. Maybe. In terms of Haki, I would say he was, but Akainu's Devil Fruit is considered to be the most destructive Devil Fruit in the series, stated by Oda. And we know he has awakened it just based off the assumption that an awakened Logia affects the weather around him and permanently changes it, which we know happened at Punk Hazard because of Akainu and Aokiji's fight. Both of them had awakened their devil fruits and permanently changed the landscape of Punk Hazard. Half the island is in an eternal fire, the other half is in eternal snow. So since he is awakened, will Luffy have a hard time facing him? Or would Luffy's awakening be stronger? Heck, maybe this could even be the situation where Luffy does that same giant attack, but this ends up going through the red line, through Marine HQ. But wait, is Marine HQ on the red line? You know what, maybe. I'm just assuming it is. It may or may not be. I don't remember. But say it is. Say they're fighting on top of the red line. Luffy uses that giant punch he used to be Kaido, but instead of like punching Akainu into a volcano, he punches him straight through the red line and into Mermaid Island. And that could be the prediction that one should... God, what is her name? I don't remember her name. I'll write it down if it comes to me. But that one mermaid who could see the future, she predicted that Luffy was going to destroy Mermaid Island. Maybe that's how we do it. And it could be kind of a funny situation when we just see Akainu plunge into Mermaid Island. He's like, where? Bye. And the girl is like, it's happening! My vision's gonna be true! Luffy's gonna destroy Mermaid Island! Everyone leave! Run! Get out! And she's the only one freaking out. King Neptune, Shirahoshi, and everyone else are just like, what are you talking about? This isn't Luffy. This guy fell from the sky. How did that happen? And she's like panicking for her, like, everyone, run for your lives! And now everyone considers her the town's crazy lady. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to talk about, the final prediction I want to make would be Luffy and Shanks' first official reunion. Not counting the one at Marineford, because that's not official reunion because like Luffy was unconscious and all. So this will be Luffy and Shanks' first time meeting up since Luffy was a kid. And by this point, Luffy is one of the Yonko, one of the 4 emperors of the sea. He is technically a great pirate. He may not consider it, but you have to remember, Luffy says he wants to be a great pirate like Shanks. Shanks is among the Yonko. He's one of the Yonko. Luffy is now also one of the Yonko. He may not consider himself to be a great pirate, but he should at least see himself to be close enough to Shanks. I was about to say Ace for a sec, but he should consider himself to be just as good as Shanks at this point. So maybe when he sees him, Shanks will be like, you've grown, Luffy. You're finally a great pirate. And Luffy will be like, you know what? You're right. I'm just the greatest pirate as you are right now. And Shanks would agree, like, yeah, you are. You're definitely just as great of a pirate as I am. You've proved it time and time again. And in that moment, Luffy takes off his straw hat and he's like, Shanks, I return your straw hat to you. Shanks grabs it and he's just like, thank you, Luffy. I've really felt lonely without this hat. I miss it. I miss this hat. You do know the one who gave it to me was my former captain, Gold Roger, when I first joined his crew. And Luffy's like, at least I don't think he knew that. I'm just assuming he doesn't. Then Luffy could be like, I didn't know, so that hat must be very special to you. And Shanks is like, yes, this was my most prized possession. But you know, I'm red-haired Shanks, and you're Straw Hat Luffy. And he puts the straw hat back on Luffy's head, just like he did when Luffy was a kid. He's like, this straw hat belongs to you. Then Luffy's like, hell no, this is your hat. Take it. I promised you I'd return this hat when I became a great pirate. I'm a great pirate now. Take the hat. Shanks is like, well, no, I just said I'm red-haired Shanks. It wouldn't make sense for me to have a straw hat covering my red hair. And you're Straw Hat Luffy. It wouldn't make sense for you not to have the straw hat. Keep the hat. And Luffy's like, will you shut the hell up and just take back your hat? Shanks is like, what do you mean? Quit being a little brat and just take it back. And then they get into this massive fight where Luffy's like, quit, you're acting like a child. And Shanks is like, I'm the one acting like a child? You're still the same old brat you were back in your hometown. Luffy's like, what did you say? I am gonna be the king of the pirates one day. You know that. I'm one of the 4 emperors just like you. If I'm a little brat, then so are you. And Shanks will be like, that doesn't make any sense. Just take your hat back. everyone's just sitting there watching like, yeah, we expected this to happen. Like Shanks' crew's like, yeah, we saw this coming. They're all just drinking, having fun. Usopp is reunited with his father. It's such a heartfelt moment while Shanks and Luffy are just fighting each other in the background. And their Conqueror's honkies just shooting off everywhere. Nami's like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Robin's just laughing and I was like, this is entertaining. Jimmy is like, should we get involved? Anyone? Zoro's just drinking on the side. No one else gives a fuck. Eventually, it ends with them just being all bloodied and bruised. And Luffy's like, you know what? I'm not giving you back your hat anymore. And Shanks is like, you son of a... You better give me that hat back in the future. And he's just like disagreeing with him just because he wants to disagree with him at that point. And then someone jumps in and is just like, you're both just being childish at this point. Will you guys knock it off already? And then both Shanks and Luffy are like, jeez, bro, will you chill? We're just having some good old fun. And then Shanks will be like, yeah, man. This is my first time being reunited with him since he was a kid. Can't we just have a little fun? Sheesh. I could just totally picture that happening, man. Like, that's like the one thing I've been thinking about since the series started. Like, when Luffy reunites with Shanks and tries to give him his straw hat. I mean, like, red-haired Shanks and straw hat Luffy. That's all I really have to say. Will Shanks actually accept it, even if Luffy does want to give it back to him? I highly doubt that's gonna happen. It's gonna lead to this massive fight, and it will be so freaking hilarious. And with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. This video may not be perfect. It is a little rough around the edges, but I still like the way I did it. So this one, compared to my other ones, wasn't really scripted. I just had like a bullet point list of things I wanted to talk about, and from there on, I just went wild. I just went crazy with what I was saying, not really like focusing on my tone of voice or how I said stuff. So it's not perfect, and I couldn't really do a lot of retakes because I didn't know what I said. I couldn't really go back and edit a bunch of things. I just like sort of tried to stick with what I said the way I said it the first time around. And in the end, I'm still satisfied with how it came out, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. So let's just hope some of my theories do come true, especially the one about Buggy's reaction and Luffy's and Shanks' reunion. Those were like my two favorite ones. I enjoyed recording them so much, and you know what? Mark this down. Those are the two that most likely come true. I honestly can't wait to be in the future to just look back at these and just be like, hey, I called it. Look, I called it. I can't believe it actually happened. So anyways, thanks again for watching. I hope to see you all in the next one, and remember to keep having fun. See ya!